Good day to doctor. My name is Tan Ijen and my matrix number is 278637. So today, I'm going to discuss about the credit risk and its determinant of American Telephone and Telegraph AT&T Company. So this is AT&T Company's logo and it was founded in 1885 based on Wikipedia. It was a subsidiary of American Bell Telephone Co., which was founded by telephone inventor of Alexander Graham Bell. AT&T Incorporated is a worldwide telecommunication holding corporation based in downtown Dallas, Texas at Whitaker Tower. And it operates as the world's largest telecommunications corporation in terms of their revenue, as well as the third largest supplier of mobile service phone in the US. So now we'll be talking about the issues and problems of AT&T. So based on CNBC, AT&T share has started falling after the firm reports their late payments and increased spending are reducing their cash flow. AT&T stocks start drop after the company stated that the delay in phone payments by customer and their business investment on 5G infrastructure affected their cash flow. According to their CEO, AT&T customers had also been paying their bills 2 days late than they did the same time previous year, and this alone had damaged nearly $1 billion in quarterly cash flow. So furthermore, AT&T expansion plan had increased in their debt level in these recent years. The research objective in this case study is to investigate the internal factors of company credit risk issues. The second one is to identify the external factors that will influence the company's credit risk, and last, which is to investigate the internal and external factors influencing the company's credit risk. For the research questions, what are the internal factors that affected AT&T credit risk? While for the second one, is there a link between external factors and AT&T company credit risk? While for the last one, what are the internal and external factors influencing the AT&T credit risk? So now we'll be moving to the part of definition of credit risk. According to Olivia Laber in 2021, she stated that credit risk refers to a possibility of a loss if the borrowers does not repay their loans. While for the second definition, which stated by Federer in 1971, it stated that credit risk is a potential that a loan will not be returned in accordance with the terms of the contract. While last but not least, according to the Bank Negara Malaysia in 2018, it stated that credit risk is the risk that a counterparty will fail to satisfy its responsibilities. So there are two variables that can be used to determine our credit risk, namely average collection period and also debt to income. So for average collection period, it refers to the average number of days it takes a business to collect and convert its account receivable into the cash. So the formula to calculate the average collection period is account receivable divided by net credit sales times 365 days. While for the second one, which is debt to income, is to compare how much you actually owe each month to how much you actually earn. So the formula can be calculated by total monthly debt payments divided by monthly gross income and times 100. It will shows the debt to income in percentage. So in this study, the debt to income is used as the dependent variable. In the part of methodology, there are 4 procedures that have been used. So for the first one is sampling technique. So the population of the research is targeted for the sample used by the telecommunication industry of the United States, which is American Telephone and Telegraph AT&T. Throughout the report, the sample data collected is based on their annual report from 2017 to 2021. Second procedure, which is data collection, is the process of collecting information and then use the collected information to measure and analyze the data. So there are 2 methods in data collection techniques, namely primarily and secondary data collection method. So in our study, secondary data collection will be used, as this approach makes use of data gathered by third parties during the past. As a result, the internal variables used in this study were gathered from yearly reports produced by the AT&T company between 2017 to 2021. So the external factors for the study were gathered from the web source and government publications. While for the third procedure, which is data analysis, in this part, a conceptual framework was used to describe the relationship between independent and dependent variables. The independent variables in these studies are internal factors, external factors, and internal and external factors, while the dependent used in this study will be the credit risk. Last, the procedure that has been used in the methodology is SPSS. In this research, there is the using of IBM SPSS Statistical 26 version to compute the data from AT&T Company annual report from 2017 to 2021. So by having the annual report of AT&T, comparison can be made between the dependent and the independent variables. So now we'll be explaining about the descriptive statistic. So according to descriptive statistic, we can see that the debt to income ratio of the company has an average mean of negative 4.630. So this shows that the company's ability to manage its obligation within 5-year average is about 5%. However, the standard deviation is 48.34, which shows a large difference in the debt to income ratio among the 5 years. For the second one, which is the operational ratio, we can see that it shows an average of 0.8774, where this shows that the company is actually generating their revenue efficiently with low cost, about 88%. However, the standard deviation shows that 0.4874, which shows a small difference in the operational ratio among the 5 years. While for the last one, which is the unemployment rate, it shows an average mean of 5.0880. This shows that unemployment within a 5-year average is about 5.1%. However, the standard deviation is 1.7393, which shows a large difference in unemployment rate across the last 5 years. For the correlation table, we can see that operational ratio is the most significant to the debt to income in this study, where the p-value is 0.001, which is less than 0.01, with the Pearson correlation of negative 0.991. This indicates that the lower the operational ratio, the higher the debt to income. While for another two external factors that are significant to the debt to income, namely unemployment rate and GDP growth, they have a p-value of 0.011 and 0.018 respectively. Their Pearson correlations are 0.931 and also 0.903, which shows that the lower the unemployment rate and the higher the GDP growth will lead to the higher debt to income. While for the last one, which is less significant to the debt to income, namely ROA and ROE, they have a p-value of 0.061 and 0.08, which is less than 0.1. And the Pearson correlation is equal to 0.777 and also 0.731 respectively. So this indicates that the higher the ROA and ROE, the higher the debt to income. For other variables, namely current ratio, average collection period, operating margin, interest rate and exchange rate, and inflation rate, these all can be considered as not significant correlated to the debt to income. According to the 3 ANOVA table, only the second model of ANOVA table shows a significance to the dependent variable, which is debt to income. So in the second model of ANOVA table, the 3 variables is less significant to the debt to income as the p-value is greater than 0.05 but less than 0.1. So same goes to the model summary. According to the 3 table of model summary, only the model summary 2 has the highest adjusted R-squared, which is these variables have contribute an amount of 0.982 or 98.2% of adjusted R-squared to the dependent variables. These 3 variables are under external factors, namely unemployment rate, exchange rate, and also interest rate. Last, I will be talking about the coefficient table of the study. So according to the coefficient table, we can see that internal factors and external factors both have one variables that are significant to the debt to income. So for the internal factors, the internal variables that are significant to the debt to income is operational ratio. Operational ratio is negatively correlated to the company debt to income and it is only less significant to the dependent variable due to the p-value of 0.069 which is less than 0.1. For the external factors, the variables that significant to the debt to income is unemployment rate, as we can see that the unemployment rate is significant to the debt to income of the company as the p-value is 0.043, which is less than 0.05. So how does the operational ratio can affect the debt to income of the company? As per study, operational risk and credit risk are actually linked in the sense of operational issues can lead to credit risk. For an example, if a company lacks the system or process in place to adequately underwrite and manage its loans, this might raise the likelihood of default among its borrowers and increasing the bank's credit risk. Based on research, a lower unemployment rate and a stronger GDP growth can lead to a rise in the amount of debt due to a person or families take on compared to their earnings, which leads to a higher debt to income ratios. Thus, in conclusion, it can be concluded that the Model 1, which is operational ratio, and Model 2 unemployment rate are significant to the At&T Incorporated company credit risk. So the company should pay attention to changes in these two components of these variables since they play a significant role in establishing the company's credit risk. Yet, in this study, it is to recommend that the research should broaden the number of years to be investigated, as well as the range of internal and external variables that represent a concern to the dependent variable that the research are interested in. This is because it will offer more reliable and clear evidence of which factors have the greatest influences on and explain the dependent variables. So that's all from me today. Thank you.